Hey everyone, back tuning into today's second video of already done JMA Friday, which you can find on the home page. Sort of speculative look at the month ahead. This is the actual October month ahead forecast from GasWeather.com. I've got real problems with this forecast today. A lot of uncertainty for October. As has been the case for many of the months recently. Really, I think it's probably a combination of the developing El Nino, which is throwing the climate models and global weather models into a bit of turmoil. And, of course, always a very uncertain time of year anyway, August, September, October, due to the influence of Atlantic hurricanes. They develop in the tropics, push north towards the poles, and how they interact with jet streams and the weather systems in the Atlantic Ocean always provides quite a lot of uncertainty. But we'll do our best to come up with the October month-ahead forecast. We'll also have a look back at September, and at the end we'll have a sneak peek for November as well. But before you get on with all of that, just very quickly to mention the ads, there's links to articles on all pages at GasWeather. Have a browse of widgets, any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go and read the article. Thanks so much for doing that. There's also video ads, post pages, say open out in the content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. Thanks so much for getting involved. Thanks for doing that. So starting with September, very pleased with the September forecast. We went for a cooler than average month. Said that it could be as much as a degree cooler than average. Excuse me, with near normal rainfall. I think rainfall did come out fairly close to average across many parts of the country, but what I'm particularly interested in is the temperature, because it was a significantly cooler than average month. We have the final number now from Hadley for the Central England temperature, and I think it's fairly reflective of what's happened across the country as a whole this time. So we come out at 12.6 degrees for September. Which is an anomaly of 1 degree below the 61 to 1990 average. That's the old and cold average. So if you was to compare that to a more modern average, say 81 to 2010, would be even colder than that. The anomaly could be around 1.5 degrees below average. So it's been a pretty significantly cool month. We correctly identified that with the forecast last month. And this is also the coolest September since 1993. So you have to go back, what is that, 22 years to find a September which was as cool as this. As I've explained in videos over the past few years, really at GasWeather, September is the month, probably out of all the other months, that has warmed more significantly over the past 20 years. Very much it's been seen as an extension of summer, as opposed to a situation when I was younger, which it was very much an autumnal month, September. But over the past 20 years, it really has been seen as an extension of summer. But this has been a proper autumnal September, and I'm very pleased that the GasWeather September forecast did pick up on that development. So doesn't happen very often, but I'm going to blow my own trumpet a little bit for this one and say that was a fairly reasonable forecast from GasWeather for September. Right, let's see what October might have in store. And these are the 700 millibar height anomalies from the CFS V2 for October. Blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and orange, yellow and red extrapolating to high pressure. So what the CFS is seeing for this month is low pressure to be around Greenland and Iceland, but we've got this ridge extending in from the east of the country, and that's probably more dominating actually than the trough in the Atlantic, which is tending to be out to the northwest and probably sending the jet stream a bit to the north. But it is a complicated pattern, and if you've seen JMA Friday, you'll know that the CFS, I think the CFS is probably overdoing the extent of this ridge, certainly for next week. So I think we're going to perhaps think about a little bit more of an unsettled month than the CFS V2 is implying. Temperature anomalies for the month coming out near normal. That may be okay. We've got the warmth to the east of the country where that ridging is occurring. Out in the west of Europe, we are near normal with the temperature anomaly. The rainfall anomaly hints at being close to average as well. It is significantly drier just to the south and the east of the country. A little bit wetter than average across Ireland. I've got a feeling that's going to be a little bit more it'll be a little bit more of an unsettled month than that is indicating. I'm not sure we'll go quite to a wetter than average month, but I think this is going to be a more changeable month than the CFS V2 is anticipating. The JMA, and if you've seen JMA Friday, you'll know that the 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods are indicating quite an unsettled month from the JMA. This is the 30-day forecast in terms of the height anomaly from the Japanese model. It shows a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic, bringing the jet stream through. This is the mid-latitude view from the Japanese model, by the way. So it indicates temperatures coming out near, or maybe a little bit below average for the coming month, but let's say near normal really with the temperature. So we haven't got agreement there between the CFS V2 and the JMA in terms of temperatures, but a big difference for rainfall because it's going for a wetter than average October, significantly so across just about the whole of Northwest Europe. You can go over to Central Europe there, and also wetter than average in those areas as well, where the CFS wants it to be drier than average. So the JMA definitely indicating a more unsettled month compared to the CFS, but both of them going for sort of near normal temperatures. The Beijing Climate Center, 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly period, into 10-day periods, sorry, looks like this. We start off with a lot of ridging around the country, trough down to the south, threatening to bring unsettled conditions into the country as we progress. So this is probably a transitional 10-day period, starting off sort of where we are now with quite a lot of high pressure and trending more unsettled as we get sort of the final 5 or so days of that 10-day period, if you see what I mean. Now, the next 10-day period, going from the 11th to the 20th, shows the ridge being forced away to the west, and the jet stream is starting to come back. Low pressure is forming to the north. Also, a deep trough setting up over Scandinavia. That will probably bring the winter early into Scandinavia and Western Russia this year. There's already indications of that starting to happen. So probably turning more unsettled from the west and the northwest through this middle part of October. And then the final 10 days, I think we're in a definitively unsettled period. At this point, the ridge is going down towards the Azores, and low pressure just generally forming around the country, still centred over Scandinavia as well. So it could be pretty cool, really. It doesn't show a great deal of blocking over the pole, but if there is some blocking appearing over Greenland, we could start to entrench cooler air down into this trough via Scandinavia. So probably turning increasingly unsettled and maybe quite cold for the end of the month from the Beijing Climate Center. The temperature anomaly overall is coming out near normal to a little bit below average, so sort of in agreement with all of these models in terms of temperatures, actually, for temperatures to be close to the average for October. And then the precipitation anomaly is coming out a bit drier than average, so not too wet a month with near normal temperatures is what the Beijing Climate Center is seeing. It's just really the JMA that's going for a significantly wetter than average month. And I'm not sure it's going to be all that bad, really, in terms of the rainfall. I think there will be periods of, periods of changeable weather coming through. But I think probably we come out with close to average rainfall. In terms of the temperatures, I think, again, very close to average. So average temperatures, average rainfall. But this probably is hiding or masking the fact that we start off fairly warm. And then it may turn quite cold, I think, at some point through the final week to 10 days. I won't be at all surprised, reading between the lines of these models. It's not greatly emphasised, but reading between the lines, wouldn't be all that surprised if we got an early plunge of winter in the final week to 10 days. That could bring some fairly hard overnight frost and possibly even some wintry conditions in the north. It's not too early in late October to get snow in the north. There could be a little bit of that around in the final week to 10 days, but it's a very, very tricky forecast to pin down. So although it doesn't seem all that interesting, average temperatures, average rainfall, actually it's masking a lot of uncertainty and the chance there of something quite significant happening in terms of a cold snap later in the month. Just want to leave you with November. So this is a sneak peek from the CFS V2 700 millibar height anomalies for November, and what this one is seeing is that we've got a deep trough in the Atlantic and also ridging down to the south and to the east of the country. The jets are coming through a bit like that. So again, it's a very complicated pattern that. It could be quite stormy. That is a very deep trough in the Atlantic, but also got all this ridging to the east of the country and to the south. Potentially it could be very mild though, because the way the ridge and the trough are aligned, could pull the air up from the southwest, sort of the tropical Atlantic. I think we'll leave that alone because October is complicated enough on its own without getting too involved in November. We'll worry about that next month. So in summary, the GASOVIS October forecast with low confidence, very low confidence actually, this month, is for average rainfall, average temperatures, but masking very uncertain conditions and also the chance possibly of quite a significant cold snap at some point through the final week to 10 days of the month. We'll see how it goes as ever and evaluate when we get to next month's look ahead. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.